Hello there, welcome back to Legends with Derka on the Series X. Today it's time to look at the new campaign ship, the Mainz. This ship has been highly anticipated and shows up on the tailcoats of its little brother, the Weimar. It is essentially a hipper hull, essentially, we'll get to that, crammed with torpedoes and guns, and I have to say it's a lot of fun. The question remains though, is it as overpowered as its little brother? Well, stick around, let's find out. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the setup. I am using Azur Lane Hipper with Scott and Vian, but I kind of played around with a bunch of different setups. I could see it going several different ways. One, the DPM damage per minute focus, where you use the likes of Scott or even Scharnhorst to buff your accuracy, and maybe Lutjens or Yamamoto to help your AP shells. If you watch my Weimar review, you know that I don't think Membeli is really worth it. It's diminishing returns when your reload is already this low at around 5 seconds, so I really wouldn't look for Membeli. And of course, you guys know me. I like to have a cruiser that is a little more mobile, so I use some of the perks such as flank speed and one of the rudders in slot 3 to help me get around the map a little more. And prop mod for taking off better and getting going. So the Mainz, a light cruiser, designated by its gun size. It is essentially a Prince Eugen or a hipper hull, but the first thing you should pay attention to is the armor. I played around 5 games before I actually took a look at it, and it's not as robust as you might think. It's armored about like a Cleveland. You have a 25mm bow and side plating and a 27mm deck. So not that tanky. Your bow, yes, 25mm. There is a little strip at the waterline that's 40, and it kind of protects your citadel from the front. So that's actually a nice little feature of the ship, and something that battleship players would be smart to pay attention to when a Mainz is rushing you. You kind of have to look, shoot a little bit higher, and yeah, you can definitely pin this thing through the front. She has 42,000 HP. That puts you pretty much near the top in terms of health points. The super cruisers will edge you out, and the big brothers, Prince Eugen, will also edge you out with more HP. You also have 2 base heals on the Mainz that give you around 6,300 HP apiece. So overall, the survivability is not bad at all. Just beware that I mentioned big German cruiser. You think that you can be pretty aggressive, rush, push, but you will not make it near as far as your big brothers. The guns, they're the same as the Weimar, the Nuremberg, the Königsberg. If you're familiar with those ships, then you know what you've got here. 16k range here on the Mainz is not bad, and a firing rate of 5 seconds on my setup edges out Cleveland, Suzuya, Edinburgh, Shapayev, Kutuzov, and Ochakov. So yes, the guns are fast. Worth pointing out though, they're still not as fast as Weimar, for anyone who's paying attention. So yes, I still believe Weimar's overcooked, but that is the most dead horse ever. Anyways, HE shell damage on the Mainz sucks, of course, but you get quarter pin like other German guns. Fire chance is also not that great. And all of this should kind of point you towards the armor piercing shells of this thing. 3,900 damage per shell. And with the 12 gun broadside, yeah, the AP on this thing will absolutely decimate anything that doesn't respect you and gives up too much of an angle. DPM without Membeli was around 560,000, so yeah, pretty ridiculous. The guns are great, a lot of fun. How about the torpedoes? Well, they are hipper torpedoes, 6 kilometers, about 60 knots. Not much else to point out here except you get 8 per side. So yeah, like 6 torpedoes wasn't enough per side on the Prince Eugen and the Weimar and the hipper. You get 8 torpedoes per side. So if you fired every torpedo, you could potentially have 16 in the water at one time. I'm not sure this was necessary. Eat your heart out, Venom. The AA comes in tied with Cleveland, which, as we know, was designed as an anti-air cruiser. That was its historical purpose, and yes, the Maine ties with that. So it's pretty good. Maneuverability is not that great on the Mainz. Max speed on this setup is 33 knots. That's without a flag, and that's with flank speed, so it's really not good here. The 720 turn circle is pretty decent, actually, better than the Japanese cruisers, the Russian cruisers, and the other bigger German cruisers. Rudder shift, 5.3 seconds, also not bad. That's with the rudder 2 and flank speed, so you could get it lower if you wanted to. I'm sure Mr. Hipper will have something to say about that. Concealment, not great. It's another good balancing feature of the Mainz, I think. It was about 13 kilometers most of the games I played, and some of them I actually tested out Mikawa. I don't like being in a cruiser that you can spot from across the map, and when you're trying to sail in and get into a good position at the beginning, maybe help your destroyers out or get behind an island or somewhere like that, 13 kilometers isn't great. You'll get spotted well before you get there, and you could have some pretty punishing shots taken. Sure, there's the concealment module, but then you give up a little bit of maneuverability with the rudder for when you're not hiding behind an island. And I really like that second rudder. It kind of helps you with the torpedoes if you're getting aggressive. So yeah, consider Mikawa. There are the stats, guys. I don't think I would call her overpowered. Not like the other one, but I do think it's a very strong ship. And, you know, a nice addition to the game. I'm glad the armor scheme is not as robust as the other Hipper class ships. I think that would have been really, really awful in a world where light tier 7 cruisers are already extremely strong. And I think, again, that's the reason you've heard me say it before, that there aren't light cruisers really at the legendary tier, because it's a hard balancing act. Yes, the tier 7 cruisers are extremely strong. The heals, the insane DPM, overpins, blah, blah, blah. If it were me, this would be a campaign that I would not skip. But I'm a light cruiser guy. That's my most played class of ship. That's what I enjoy to play. So for me, Mainz is definitely a must-have. It's versatile. It has a lot of utility. You can spam HE from long range if you want. You can hunt destroyers with your awesome German sonar that we haven't talked about yet. Its detectability is 5.6 kilometers, so we kind of know how it works. It's fantastic. It'll help you avoid torpedoes. Yeah, so the Mainz, it's very strong. It's a very good ship. Overall, it was a lot of fun to play. I enjoyed it when I got some good teams. I would say my playstyle overall, I used a lot of islands to avoid battleship rounds. Similar to other light cruisers, you know, that we know and like the Cleveland. Really, guys, that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. There's a lot of ships to get to this week. I hope this can help you guys make a decision to see if this campaign is for you or not. Let me know your thoughts on the Mainz and if you plan on getting her in the comments section down below. All right, my friends, be sure to like and subscribe for future content. See ya!